Here's your exclusive VIP pass to the boardroom with USANA's chairman of the board and CEO, Kevin Guest. Here's your host, Executive Vice President of Communications, Amy Herron.
Hello, USANA, and welcome to the 2020 Americas and Europe Virtual Convention, and the first of your exclusive live access for our VIP viewers. On behalf of our home office in Salt Lake City and from all of our offices around the globe, we just want to say thank you. We are so glad you're here with us. And being here is key to this segment because it's your opportunity to participate, ask questions, and comment. In fact, throughout convention, during every part of the program, you'll have a chance to be heard simply by using the chat and comment area you see below. We want you to use it because we want to hear questions and comments throughout this event. But during this VIP forum, it is your exclusive opportunity to ask what questions you have. And to help answer them is none other than our chairman and CEO, Kevin Guest.
Hi, Amy.
Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. It's so good to see you. We've been mostly via Zoom the past few months.
It's great. Even though we're still socially distant,
yes.
It's great to be together.
So good to be together.
Yeah.
Just so excited to ask questions and get questions from the audience. And I just wanted to hear what you're thinking about convention so far.
Well, it's a unique experience, right? We're doing something we've never done before, but by the thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are registered, I would venture to say this is a record attendance. I'm positive for a convention for us in the Americas and Europe. And so I'm happy that we're able to reach so many people, but I do miss the hugs. I do miss the personal interaction, and I miss seeing all my family and friends from all different markets from the Americas and Europe.
Me too. And I know one thing that we've talked about is just the importance of asking questions. I ask you questions and other people questions all the time, so we really hope that we can capture some of Kevin's wisdom today. And that really is going to involve all of you asking questions in the chat. And while we don't have time to answer anything and everything, here are some ideas you can think about. One thing that's on everybody's minds these days, current events. Or perhaps you're interested in learning Kevin's perspective on the future of direct selling and USANA. I also know Kevin loves talking about one of his favorite topics, personal development. Or maybe you want to know about products or business strategy. It's your opportunity to ask whatever's on your mind. So ask. Are you ready, Kevin?
I'm ready.
All right, well, we allow people to answer their questions in the chat. I'm gonna start off with a first question for you. What are you most excited about when it comes to USANA's future?
Wow, that's a big question. I think I'm most excited about that we're seeing the vision of this great company, creating the healthiest family on earth, exponentially grow and grow and grow. And we're seeing this vision spread. When I think about the future and think about what we've developed in R&D, products that are ready to be launched that might not be launched for 6 months, a year, a few years down the road, having that vision of seeing how we're going to help create this healthiest family on earth. And as we expand around the globe, we're just getting started.
Yeah, and I love that you bring up products that are coming. We do have some exciting announcements the next couple of days, so make sure you are tuning in to our section with our R&D group. They're so talented. One other question that I think about when talking about our future, it's been an uncertain time for many people with coronavirus, the pandemic, all of these things. How have you dealt with what we talked about, social distancing, missing the hugs, making that personal connection with people? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I've used this as a time for some self-care, and I'll talk about that in my keynote. I think taking care of ourselves, it's kind of like the oxygen mask on the airplane. Mm-hmm. They have you put it on yourself because you're no good to anyone else if you can't breathe. It's the same kind of a thing. How do we take care of ourselves? And so many times we're focused on others. So for me, I've really stepped up my reading. I've read, I don't know how many books during this time. I've stepped up my reading. I've committed to meditation, and so I'm meditating every morning. I try to every evening. I've committed to really trying to connect with my family and my faith, at a different level than I have before, because along with this period of time for me personally, and I'm sure for a lot of those out there, there's been a lot of quiet time, a lot of time for self-reflection. I've also done something that I've really believed in, but I haven't been really good at, which is journaling. And journaling my thoughts and feelings. And then I go back and read those thoughts and feelings. And I've been sharing them with my wife, which has also been a very positive thing.
I love that. And you're right about it being a time of self-reflection. And I think a lot of people have turned that inward into anxious feelings. So the meditation, I'm sure, has helped a lot to kind of go back to the positive. You mentioned books. I always love to hear what you're reading, and I think a lot of our associates would too. What are you reading these days? What's great?
Wow, I think I've got 4 different books right now. One book, it's not actually a book, but what I'm reading right now is the Harvard Business Review has a compilation of great articles that are published, and they have one on strategy. And so right now I'm spending a lot of time reading this Harvard Business Review on strategy. We're in the midst of planning our next 5 years and beyond strategy that'll be completed by the end of the year. And so I've just immersed myself in the learning of strategy. I've taken Harvard courses on strategy and other things. So that's something I'm reading right now.
I love that. Harvard Business Review is one of my favorites for sure. All right, so I'm just looking through our questions here. This is a great one. What characteristics must a CEO have in the days we are living today? Do you feel like that's changed over the years?
Well, that's a good question, because everyone watching is self-employed. So in essence, everyone is a CEO, and people are CEOs at different levels. I remember my wife, when we had 4 little children at home, she was talking about being the CEO and the decision-making process and everything with all these kids at home. But I think there are several key traits from a CEO perspective, and the number one is integrity. People have to have trust and belief in you, and to have trust, you have to be trustworthy.
Sure.
And if people won't follow you as a leader, I love this saying, I think it came from John Maxwell, where he said, the leader who is taking a walk with nobody following him is merely taking a walk.
Right.
And so if you're trying to lead others, they need to be able to emulate who you are and by your example. And so that's number one, integrity. Number 2 is do what you say you're going to do. And the last one is just lead by example. Don't ask people to do something you're not willing to do yourself.
I love it. And I love that you brought up one of our core values, integrity. It is something that I always think of when I think of our company, and especially when I think of you. I've been in the boardroom with you many times where you've made tough calls, and it's always about integrity, which I really appreciate.
Thank you.
One thing that might be a little more personal for you, and I see a question here from Victoria, British Columbia. The Black Lives Matter movement has really gained a lot of momentum and attention this year for some really unfortunate reasons, but I think it has started a lot of conversations. And it's something that you've spoken out about several times to both employees and associates. Do you have any more that you want to add to that, or any more you want to add to the discussion?
Well, I've always been hesitant, because I certainly haven't experienced what a Black person has experienced. I don't want to speak like I'm an authority on the subject. So for me, I think the golden rule is critical here, that we want to treat others how we would like to be treated, first and foremost. And secondly, I believe education is so important, because regardless of whether or not where we sit on how we believe on which side, I do think we have fellow human beings that we interact with that are different than we are, that come from a different background. We need to respect that and be respectful. And I think that education and awareness has to come to a different level. I feel bad that we've had to come to this in our society, because we should be so educated and so developed. Here we are, the year 2020, and we're still having this conversation, probably even more critically than we ever have before. And I think it all comes down to being respectful to other people's opinions, views, and circumstances, and don't try and inflict your own beliefs and your own circumstances on others. But educate yourself. So at USANA, we're taking action. We've hired an outside group that are experts in this, and we're bringing them in for trainings so that our employees can be trained, so that we can educate ourselves in areas where we may fall short. We're not perfect. We want to be perfect at this. And as we extend our training through outside resources, we're also forming a committee within the employee group that will help us learn and understand as a management team how we can be better in including those and making sure that equality truly is equality and that everyone is treated with respect and kindness.
I'm really excited about some of the programs we've started, and I think that our strength is in our diversity, absolutely, as a USANA family, and we do have such a diverse family, so it's really exciting, I think.
Another just side note of that, it's hit my family just recently a little deeper because my son and his wife just adopted a little black baby. And so my grandson, the first grandchild to carry on the Guest name, is a young little black baby. And so they've been going through training as mom and dad of adopting this child. And it's opening my eyes in a completely different way. And I want to be as compassionate and loving as I can from my perspective as his grandfather.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, thank
I've
you.
seen some pictures. It's really, really cute. And yeah, I can see that, you know, it becomes very personal when you want him to have all of the same opportunities.
That's right.
That's awesome. Well, congrats. We have a question from Angela here in the United States. She wanted to know, what are the first 3 goals or actions that you would give to a person who has just entered the business? So this is pretty specific, but can you think of 3 things you would tell someone who has just started?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you have to have your own experience with the products. You have to, we are a health company. Health is who we are and what we're about. You have to get on the products and be a product of the product, because how can you tell others about it without having had your own experience in a very compliant way, of course. but you want to, first of all, just really be on the products, then 2, lead by example. So be healthy. Eat healthy, have a healthy lifestyle, make exercise part of your life, and be part of a health company. That's number 2. And then number 3, believe in yourself. Find a way, and if you don't have that belief in yourself, take a class, find a mentor, find some way that you can build that self-confidence, because people aren't going to buy from you if they don't believe in you.
Right.
So those are just some things off the top of my head, I would say.
I love that you brought up belief in yourself, because we were sitting here right before the cameras turned on, and Kevin said, you know, if I'd told you in college that you'd be sitting on a TV set like this, would you have believed it? And I said, absolutely not. I would have been terrified. And I think, you know, building that belief, especially when it comes to sharing something with friends and family or speaking, how have you built that belief in yourself or gotten over those nerves?
Well, it's through experience, right? I mean, if you go to a movie as an easy example and you love the movie, what do? You go home and tell people about it.
Right.
And it's through your experience that you share that with people. And so experience is so critical. That's why we've chosen as our core strategy, our customer experience, and having positive interactions with everyone who interacts with USANA, distributor to preferred customer, is because that experience is so critical, because we know they go and tell others.
Absolutely.
Either positive or negative. Right. So for me, with USANA, for example, I've been on the products for almost 3 decades now. I take them every day. I have a My Health Pack, plus I take a health pack, plus I take an assortment of other things every day. And so it's easier for me to talk to others and my loved ones and family about USANA because I've had a great experience.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. Yeah, I think as long as you can speak from the heart about something, people are usually willing to listen. Yep. So Jose from the United States asked, this is one I know you get a lot, what other countries will USANA, or markets, will USANA be opening in the future? And Jose mentioned India and Dubai. Any comments you'd like to make there?
So we are a public company, and I can't make any forward-stating comments because we are a public company. I can say this. We are looking at international expansion. We will expand in countries in the future. That is part of our growth strategy. Mm-hmm. We'll see other markets and predominant markets be part of the USANA family. But right now, I'm focusing our energy and efforts on the markets where we're currently doing business. and focusing all of our resources. Because when you expand to a different country, you take resources that would normally be, for instance, in the United States. Well, we want to pour our resources into the United States versus another new country. And so it's a timing thing, but it is definitely on our radar.
All right. I really like this question from Joanne from the United States. Do you like being a CEO? And I'd like to add one more part to that. Do you like being chairman of the board now? That's a new role for you. So let's make that a double question.
Well, I've been having individual Zoom calls with each one of the board members. And one of the things I'm talking to them about is it's hard. The hardest thing for me is wearing two hats simultaneously. So the CEO hat is much different than the chairman of the board hat. And there are different legal responsibilities that I have to be very, very aware of as I'm performing the both roles.
Right.
And so I've enlisted in Stanford University's course on board of directors training, and I'm doing all I can to learn the various roles. It's not an easy thing for me to do, but they're not mutually exclusive, because the number one thing is we're looking out to benefit all of our stakeholders. So that's all of our great distributors and customers, our employees, and those who are actually shareholders in the company. And so it's been difficult. This question about whether I like being CEO or not, I take the job of CEO very, very seriously, because I know one decision I make will influence thousands or hundreds of thousands of lives around the world. And so I don't take that lightly. That has been very stressful on me. That's why this little self-care break has been so good, because it's helped me manage the anxiety that I have felt piling on my shoulders over the years in this position. And so I like being CEO for the reason that it's causing me to grow,
right,
and to study and learn things that I wouldn't have otherwise. But personally, as we were talking before the cameras came on, I enjoyed it when I was on the other side of the camera more, or with a guitar, standing there singing, versus being the corporate person. But this is such a great company, and I'm so committed to its vision that I always want to do it. I've always told Dr. Wentz through the years, I just want to contribute in a positive way.
I love it. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And I love that you've set an example, I think, for a lot of employees and associates in focusing on self-care. I think so often people think that they're not important, that they've got to take care of everyone else. So I really appreciate that personally. One question, and I don't have the name of the person any longer who asked it, but I thought it was a good one. Do you have and maybe you can think about it and we can move on to something else, but do you have a favorite behind the scenes moment with USANA that you would want to share with everybody?
Man.
You want to think about it and we'll move on to...
Well, there are a lot of behind the scenes moments. Just quickly, I can tell you one. When I was offered to be CEO of USANA, I told them no. And we were in, the board of directors were there, and they were talking to me about it. And Dr. Wentz was sitting at the end of the table, and he slammed his fist down on the desk. And I said, I'm just a kid from Montana that grew up wanting to be a rock star musician. Being the CEO of this beautiful worldwide company, I don't feel that I'm qualified. And he said, your qualifications are this: you know my vision and where I want to go better than anybody else in the world. That's why I want you to be CEO. And so I kept my mouth quiet and I said, I'll take that challenge. So there's a behind the scenes story.
That's an amazing behind the scenes story. Speaking of Dr. Wentz, he's taken on the position of Chairman Emeritus. How are you continuing to work with him moving forward with USANA?
So I keep him informed. He still is, a very significant shareholder in the company, but also someone who represents as the founder and the visionary of the company. And so just as last week, I spoke to him a few times just during the week. I keep him updated and apprised of things I'm thinking about, and use him still as a mentor and consultant with me as appropriate with the public company. And he's still very much interested, involved, and we still involve him on his input on major decisions as it is appropriate. Again,
Right.
we have to be careful being a public company and him being a shareholder. So we're very careful about that. But it's still a very close and very warm and friendly relationship, and he's still very engaged.
Yeah, he cares a lot,
Yeah.
for sure. His life's work. So,
Yes.
yeah. Well, Victor has, I think, a great question. Considering the organizations that exist today and will in the future, what is it about USANA that makes it stand out and is different from other companies?
Our willingness to never compromise. There are many, many products that we have developed and or could have released because they were the current fad that could have made us a fortune. There are many times when products haven't tested correctly that we could have released and nobody would have known. There are many times where we could have done things that wouldn't have been necessarily exactly right, but we refuse to compromise. And we also refuse to compromise on the vision and where we're headed as a company.
Right.
And so we are evolving. Obviously, as a company, we have to evolve as a company with the times to stay relevant. But we're not. I always say it's an evolution, not a revolution.
Right.
Meaning we're not trying to turn the thing upside down and do something different, but we do have to evolve. And so I think a couple things that will make us different. One, the never compromising, but two, the willingness to evolve, but stay true to who we are as we're evolving.
Right, absolutely. Speaking of evolution, it looks like Alicia, and they're saying many others have asked this question in the chat. I love USANA and my planet. What is the company doing about sustainability and packaging? Is there going to be an evolution as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, so that's a major focus of us as a company, and we don't do a good enough job announcing or shouting from the rooftops all that we do as a company. If you look at our headquarters, it's covered with solar panels, which has saved a ton. With the zero-scaping, has saved millions of gallons of water.
Right.
We're going to recycled materials in the plastics, so we have a recycling program. In some of our markets around the world, we're actually having them bring the bottles back in and recycling. The goal is, and what I've set out to Jim Brown and the operations team, I want completely recyclable materials globally for USANA's products, and that's the goal where we're headed to. I want to stop shipping plastic around the world.
Right.
And I do feel it is critical that we're socially responsible. And so that is very much underway. And we are doing a lot, and everyone's going to hear a lot more about that in the future. We're actually forming a committee within the company. We have a member of the board of directors who's going to oversee that committee from a environmental perspective, and we're also going to plug marketing into that so that you all have the information to take out as you're talking about USANA.
Definitely. I can, speak from just being in on meetings, hearing from employees. This is definitely at the forefront of our minds, and we're looking at so many options across our product lines and across our buildings and the way we operate. So it'll be, and there's so much new technology too. I think I'm really excited to see where we go with this. So one question that we have from Sarah in Seattle. Oh, actually, I think we've already answered that one with the transition of Dr. Wentz to Chairman Emeritus. What do you predict will be the long-term effects on the business and society because of today's challenges?
Well, society is still a big question mark. It's yet to be seen how that's going to unfold. And the political environment is just so crazy right now. But I think for us as a company, this is evidence of what's going to happen. We're only going to get stronger and better. We're going to utilize technology in a more effective way. And because we've been forced into using technology, and so I think for us as a company, there's never been a better time from an economic perspective, as well as from us just leveraging technology and doing business differently in a more efficient and effective way.
Right.
So I think we'll see a lot of good come from this global pandemic as it relates to us as a company. The industry is also, as a whole, I sit on the Direct Selling Association Board of Directors and the World Federation of Direct Sellers, and it's looking like globally, direct sales is showing very positive signs for the future.
That's great. One thing that, I think that we are dealing with when we talk about the future, and we get a lot of questions from associates about, is Amazon and how it is affecting USANA. Do you have any comments about that? Anything you?
Well, Amazon is a difficult phenomenon, and there's Alibaba and other things around the world that are very similar. And the question is, do you embrace them or do you compete with them?
Right.
And that's the big question. And we're trying to figure out ways to actually control our brand and control who we are. We've had USANA products come through Amazon that weren't even USANA products in the USANA bottle. And so the quality guarantee is something that everyone needs to hit very hard as they're speaking. And we're trying to find other ways with outside vendors who are experts with Amazon. Right. We're also looking at distributors who are selling through Amazon illegally, and we're pursuing those cases and taking action against people who are underselling excess product because that is against our policies and procedures, and we're taking action there. So we have a robust Amazon approach, but it is a big one and one that we're trying to solve without in any way having a negative effect on our distributor base. But Amazon is a big issue.
Yeah, and I know we are attacking it from several different angles. Yes. For sure. So we actually only have time for one last question. This went fast.
Yeah.
But I really loved it. What is it that you want to leave behind for your legacy with USANA? Are you at that point where you're thinking about that yet? I don't know.
I've thought about it. My legacy for USANA. Well, I told Dr. Wentz this when we had our last board meeting and he was handing over the reins as chairman of the board to me, and I told him, I said, Dr. Wentz, I promise you, I won't let you down. Yeah. And I want my legacy to be that I've created and left the company and the company's heading in the trajectory that Dr. Wentz would have a big smile on his face, and that he would say, wow, I'm so glad I put Kevin in that position, because he did stay true to his word.
I love it. Well, I wish we had another 30 minutes or so, because I think we've had so many great questions from everyone, but unfortunately that's all the time we have. Thank you so much, Kevin, and thanks to all of you for your insightful questions. We encourage you to keep asking and commenting throughout the event, as there will be many opportunities to learn more. Also, don't let all of this great information stay here in the VIP forum. Take the time to communicate what you heard to your teams, as I'm sure they will find this information more than valuable. Your VIP pass not only gives you access to exclusive content, your contribution for that VIP pass goes directly to the USANA Foundation. We had a goal to provide 100,000 meals to families right in our own communities, and amazingly, we have achieved that goal.
Wow, already, we're just getting started.
I know. And in fact, I'm so glad you said that, because let's exceed it the way USANA is so good at, and feed even more children in Europe, Canada, the United States, Mexico, and Colombia. If you would like to donate additional funds, and we hope you will, you can do it on the USANA Foundation page of this virtual platform. We really thank you for everything you do. It is what makes our USANA family so special. Okay, so we have one more question for all of you. Are you curious about how you can be a more powerful storyteller to help build your business and personal brand? Up next, we have storytelling advisor Kendra Hall, who's here to teach us why strategic storytelling is the key to success. I have seen her speak a few times. She is amazing. She's all about telling that story. I get something from her every time. So we're just getting started here at your 2020 Americas and Europe Virtual Convention. Have a great evening, and we'll see you in the chat. Thanks.